4 tips for simple shading. Tip number 1, choose your side. One common aspect that many get hung up on when approaching shading is thinking that shading is just about the dark side. It's not. Basically, if you want to understand shadows, you first need to study how light flows over objects and also how light can affect objects, such as reflecting light or even bouncing light off of something, such as metal or glass or even water. To keep things simple, I'm just going to be using one light source in this illustration, and I'm going to be marking my light source with a small circle on the edge of the paper, just like so. This is going to help me determine where the light is coming from and where it is flowing across my object. Tip number 2, study simple shapes and how to shade them. Most likely you've seen these before on numerous occasions and are like, again? But trust me, this exercise is going to be your lifesaver when exploring even more detailed complex shapes like animals, which I'm going to be getting into in a bit. But for now, really get a good understanding of how light flows over specific shapes and even how these shapes could cast shadows on the floor and even on other objects. The better you understand these basics, the better your shading will actually be in your illustration. Which brings us to tip number 3. Study drawing reference books. Personally, I never really liked the here's how to draw 100 different types of animal books. The style of these books never really sparked my interest. But that is actually where my logic was flawed, as Mr. Roberts, my college drawing professor, taught me this later on. These books actually can demonstrate the basic shape forms that animals are made of, which in essence can help you actually break down a bit more where those shadows should actually be located. Now, I want to preference this with saying that understanding bone and muscle structure is actually the best way to understand shadows, especially on animals or on the human being, especially if you desire to draw more hyper-realism stuff. But I've found over the years that these simple drawing books also help you get a better understanding of how animals are made up of these basic shapes, and thus kind of how light would pass over that said animal. However, there is still one more tip that you need to consider if you really want to take your shading skills to the next level. Tip number 4, study real-life reference. Ultimately, the previous 3 tips are a guide to help you understand shading as well as light better, but the only way to really get better at understanding shading, especially for animals, is by studying real-life reference, whether it be photos, videos, or even better, in person. In conclusion, your shading is actually meant to anchor your drawing to the paper, yet in this funny turn of events, also create depth to make it almost pop off the page. Now, before this video ends, I do want to say that if you want to learn how to paint this particular fox step by step in a very easy beginner watercolor course, I actually have that course down below, link down below for you, and you can go ahead and check that out. This course actually had a private launch in December right before Christmas, and it filled up very quickly where I had to actually shut it down. So I wanted to let you know it is reopened back up. Pretty much all of the students who came in December have finished their courses and have finished all of their Fox illustration, and they've absolutely loved it, and I've gotten a really good amount of feedback to kind of tweak the course a little bit, so it should even be better now. So I wanted to let you know that that is available now to you. If you want to take this course, make sure to see the link down below, and hopefully I will see you inside the course. So it's hard to believe that we are nearly through with this series. This is the third video in a 6-part series where I break down my approach to constructing a full painting from start to finish. In this step, I showed you some key pointers of embracing your dark side as well as your light in order to shade an object or an animal. As you can probably tell, my family is pretty big Star Wars fans. Shout out to my dad for introducing me to it. It also makes it all the more fun that my name is Luke, my new last name. If you are a Star Wars fan, make sure to leave a comment down below of who your favorite character is from the whole entire series. I would love to read your feedback. Also, if you are a true Misfitian, make sure to hit that like button before you go. As always, y'all, lots of love, and I'll see you in the next video.